Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about cake baking. The mixing method, the preparation, the assembly of cake baking. So you notice that I have all my mise en place here available. First of all, I have a cooking spray, some parchment, and my pans. Very important, of course. As well as having my dry ingredients sifted, just blended. I have my vanilla extract and I have the melted butter. As well, I have gone ahead and cracked and scaled my whole eggs into my mixing bowl because I'm going to use this also as the top of my bain-marie, as well as the sugar that's going to go in, scaled and ready. It's important for your bain-marie to remember you just need enough water, so maybe just about 1.5 inches up the sides to create the steam that we are looking for. Everything is set and ready before I begin everything. There's 2 good ways that you can go ahead and do your cake pan lining. For the Genoise or Genoise, depending on how you like to pronounce it, this chocolate Genoise is a foam-based cake, and foam-based cakes don't need a whole lot of greasing because you want the leavening to come from the eggs, the whipping of the eggs, and you get the most volume from a warm egg. So you need to make sure that those eggs can cling to something. Now I'm using actually a fairly thin and coated pan. The kind of pan isn't as necessary as how you treat it in the oven and how you treat it before it goes in the oven. So I want you to make sure that you try to get 2 of the same size cake pans for this particular size recipe that you're going to use. I have a piece of parchment here, and there's 2 ways that you can go about getting the parchment ready. You can place your pan directly on to the parchment. You can take then a pencil and draw a circle, you know, the whole trace and cut deal. That one works quite well if you don't run into things, as I did. So you trace your circle and you go ahead and you cut that. Make sure whatever side you traced, however, is the side that goes down. Whether you use marker, pen, pencil, any of that, you don't want it to bake into your actual ingredient. It's also important that you trace the bottom of the pan because that's what you're lining, not the top. And if you can tell on this cake pan, it has slightly graduated sides. So it's going to, if I trace the outside, for example, obviously I have handles, but I also have the issue of it being a little bit wider on the top than the bottom. Whatever you do with your cake pan now is going to translate after the oven, so always keep that in mind. The other option for you is to hold your parchment down with holding the cake pan, and you can take your parchment, make a tiny little cut in it or a tear, place it up against, and then you just pull up on your parchment to tear. Pull upwards, 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 up, right up against, but you have to continue to hold that parchment and that pan in place for it to work. It gives you slightly shaggy edges. It's not quite as nice looking. So for those of you who really like pristine work, this is probably not for you, but it does work. And that's why I'm doing it, to show you how it works. Pulling up, pulling up, pulling up. We always pull with parchment, don't we? Up and towards the pan. Let's see what I got here. See how close. So I have pretty much a perfect circle. Just a little bit of jagged edges there. Now, when it comes to putting it in the pan, since this is a foam-based cake, we don't need a lot of grease because I was saying that the foam of the eggs is the leavening, so we need it to cling to the sides of the pan. So the only thing I'm going to use the spray for is to actually tack the paper down so that when I add the batter, the paper doesn't move. So you're just going to do a quick circle on the bottom, and any overspray that hits the side of the pan is okay. You don't need to wipe it away. You just need to place your parchment inside and make sure that it sticks. And then you're ready, once your pans are, to preheat your oven and get started with making your cake.